make me cry before I have to speak. And I have to speak after my, now one of my favorite preachers of Jesus, Ahmed. Where's Ahmed? There he is. It's like, my Muslim brother is one of my favorite preachers, which is good. I would be remiss if I did not thank all of you. The outpouring of support from Muslim brothers and sisters, which Apostle Paul and non-Muslim brothers and sisters who are here as well. The Apostle Paul in the book of Hebrews, well, we actually don't know who wrote Hebrews. It might have been Paul, it might have been someone else, talks about a cloud of witnesses. And you are part of my cloud of witnesses. Most people think it's just about Christians, but I think it's Christians, it's Muslims, it's Jews, of people of faith, of no faith. And I said in the last press conference, my cloud of witnesses is deep and wide, and it's as thick as the London fog. And that bears repeating because the thickness and the wideness and the deepness of my cloud of witnesses is right here. And you honor me, and it's a privilege to be here in your midst. I would also be remiss if I didn't specifically thank CAIR-Chicago, also the National Office of CAIR, for their support throughout this. When I began this experience, I emailed a buddy in the CAIR office, Gerald Hankerson, to ask for advice, and was CC'd with Fatima. Now we're fast friends. She was just a name on an email, and now a friend, and others in the CAIR office, like Ahmed, who have also become family. And so the CAIR family is my family, and I'm thankful. Also, Larycia Chicago. I'm a board member of Larycia Chicago, and so is Halil and Gerald and others who may be here. But Arise is the group, it's a faith labor action group that educates, empowers, and organizes on behalf of labor. And I used to think of it as low-wage labor until I became one of their cases. I became one of their campaigns. And the love and support of the Arise community, and also of my neighbors. One thing that hasn't been reported in the media is that I've pretty much had 24-hour details since December 16th. And that is from my Muslim neighbor, Kareem, and his wife, Jody, who are here. Please stand. Because a picture to the world of a Christian upstairs, and they have been supporting me the 7 years I've lived in the building above them, watching my car, if I'm out of town and I forget to tell them, calling me at home in Oklahoma, where are you, honey? Where are you, baby? And my parents don't live here, but they're family, just like your family. So thank you all for being my family. The theme this evening is Up for the Challenge. In the Christian church, we say that where one or more are gathered in God's name, God is in the midst. I know that the Drury Inn isn't a church or a mosque, but people are gathered in the prophet's name, peace be upon him. I was honored when Ahmed and Gerald asked me to give brief comments at this year's CAIR banquet. Gathered, again, as we are, not in the name of religion per se, but in the name of justice. And all religions believe in justice. People of no faith believe in justice. Indeed, it is the clarion call of our Constitution. The moral arc of the universe bends toward justice. And the prophets spoke of justice. When God's people do righteous deeds, justice prevails. Of course, justice is always a goal, but we live in perilous times. Times are perilous when people who purport to be presidential pervert the promise of we the people in the name of poll numbers. We live in perilous times when citizens who happen to be Muslims in my home state of Oklahoma's guns are muzzled because apparently Second Amendment rights are reserved only for the God-fearing Christmas, Mother's Day, Easter Christian folk of the buckle of the Bible Belt and the Allah-worshiping 5 times a day praying, zakat practicing Muslim folk of the Sooner State, they just don't fit the Bill of Rights to be exact. That's my home state, y'all. That's messed up. We live in perilous times. Yes, we say y'all in Oklahoma, not so much in Chicago. We live in perilous times when the first freedom of the Bill of Rights of the US Constitution, remember, guns aren't first, because peace that flows from a country devoted figure it out. Given these perilous times, my question is simple. Are we up for the challenge? On December 10th, 2015, I posted the following on my Facebook page. I don't love my Muslim neighbor because she or he is American. I love my Muslim neighbor because she or he deserves love by virtue of his or her human dignity. I stand in human solidarity with my Muslim neighbor because we are formed of the same primordial clay, descendants of the same cradle of humankind, a cave in Sterkfontein, South Africa, that I had the privilege to descend the depths into, to plumb the depths of our common humanity in 2014. I stand in religious solidarity with Muslims because they, you, like me, a Christian, are people of the book. And as Pope Francis stated, we worship the same God. But as I tell my students, theoretical solidarity is not solidarity at all. Thus, beginning tonight, December 10th, my solidarity has become embodied solidarity. As part of my Advent worship, I will wear a hijab to work at Wheaton College, to play in Chi-Town, in the airport, and on the airplane to my home state that initiated one of the first anti-Sharia laws, read unconstitutional and Islamophobic, and at church. I invite all women into the narrative that is embodied hijab-wearing solidarity with our Muslim sisters, for whatever reason. A large-scale movement of women in solidarity with hijabs is my Christmas wish this year. Perhaps you are a Muslim who does not wear the veil normally. Perhaps you're an atheist or agnostic who finds religion silly or inexplicable. Perhaps you're a Catholic or Protestant Christian like me. Perhaps you already cover your head as part of your religious worship, but not a hijab. I would like to add that I have sought the advice of CAIR about whether a non-Muslim wearing the hijab would be considered haram. And of course, they welcomed me to join in this narrative of actual as opposed to theoretical solidarity, human solidarity as opposed to mere nationalistic sentimentality. Shalom, friends. That was my Christmas wish and my Christmas invitation. I want to say that I bring this up only to say this. You have honored me beyond what I deserve. Being up for the challenge, me wearing a hijab, takes little courage. It takes faith, hope, and love. And the Apostle Paul and Jesus in the Great Commandment said, the greatest of these is love. Love God, love your neighbor, love yourself. Wearing a veil in solidarity with my Muslim sisters was not an act of moral courage. It was what love demands, and it's what love demanded. Loving your neighbor can come at a high cost. It could cost you your job. It could cost you your life. It could cost some Republican an election. Who will love their Muslim neighbor from their Whistle Stop campaign tour in the battleground states? Who will love Donald Trump and call him to his highest calling, to love his neighbor, to love his Muslim neighbor. Am I up for that challenge? Or do I merely shake my fist at him and hurl words at a lifeless New York Times? Are we up for the challenge? Loving your neighbor requires embodied solidarity, quite simply, positioning your body among the oppressed. Are you up for the challenge? We are our brothers and sisters' keepers. Who is your brother? Who is your sister? That, Jesus says, is your enemy. It's easy to love your mosque and synagogue members and book club members. Who is most difficult to love? That is your neighbor. Faith, hope, and love, all three remain. May they abound. Let's lead with love. That's the challenge. And I know you're up for it, Chicago. We're not called the city with big shoulders for nothing. Thank you.